Most men don't realize it, but they are slowly losing control, losing their influence, their authority, and their relationships. The worst part, they don't even see it happening. Every morning, they wake up confused, wondering why the woman they loved drifted away, why she no longer looks at them with admiration, why her feelings seem uncertain. At work, they feel invisible, working hard, but constantly overlooked, taken advantage of, and never properly rewarded. When they look in the mirror, they see a man who has done everything he was told was right. Yet, somehow, he keeps falling behind. If you don't open your eyes now, if you don't take control of what's happening, you will continue to lose. Your relationships will continue to fail. Your financial security will slip further away, and your self-worth will erode. And if you allow this to continue, one day, you will wake up feeling completely powerless, wondering where it all went wrong. But today, that ends. Today, you learn how to win, not through physical conflict, not through outdated ideas of battle, but through mastering the hidden struggles happening around you, at work, in relationships, and in every interaction where power, respect, and influence are at stake. If you apply these 7 principles, you will never feel powerless again. No one will walk away from you without warning. No one will take advantage of your efforts, and no one will strip you of what you deserve. Because once you understand these rules, you stop being a passive player in life and start controlling the game. But if you ignore this message, if you dismiss it as unnecessary, or assume it doesn't apply to you, then let me be brutally honest. You are choosing to stay weak. The lies that keep you powerless, everything you've been taught about success, relationships, and power was designed to keep you compliant. They told you that hard work leads to success, but if that were true, the hardest working people wouldn't struggle financially. They told you that being a kind and loving man guarantees a strong relationship, but if that were true, good men wouldn't experience betrayal and heartbreak. They told you to follow the rules and everything would work out. But if that were true, the wealthiest and most influential people wouldn't be the ones who broke the mold. The truth is, these beliefs were meant to keep you in line, ensuring that you never question why you're struggling while others thrive. But today, that changes. Today, you reclaim your power. Before we dive in, take a moment to like, subscribe, and comment. I refuse to lose. If you can't even commit to that, then you've already given up. But if you can, prepare yourself, because what you're about to learn will change everything. Rule 1. Understand the battlefield and your place in it. Most men are fighting the wrong battles because they don't even recognize what's really happening. They assume their greatest challenges come from external sources. The woman who left them, the boss who underappreciates them, the friend who betrayed them. But those are not the real problems. The true enemy is ignorance. A relationship doesn't end the moment she walks away. It was breaking long before that, when you failed to notice the warning signs. Your career isn't derailed when you're passed over for a promotion. It was already slipping away when you entered the system without a plan. Sun Tzu once said, "If you know both your enemy and yourself, you will never be in danger. If you know neither, you will always be at risk." And this is where most men fail. They go through life reacting to everything, blindly hoping things work out. They hope their partner remains loyal. They hope their efforts are noticed. They hope that by simply being a good person, they will be rewarded. But hope is not a strategy. A man who wants to win does not rely on luck. He prepares, studies, and understands how the system works before he plays the game. This is why women are drawn to men who understand them, not just men who love them. The man who knows how attraction and psychology work. The one who creates excitement, challenge, and emotional depth holds a stronger connection than the one who simply showers her with devotion. It may be difficult to accept, but once you do, you'll see relationships in an entirely new light. The same principle applies to wealth. If you don't grasp how money, power, and influence are controlled, you will always struggle financially. The traditional job system wasn't built to make you successful. It was designed to keep you working just hard enough to survive, but never enough to break free. In war, the army that studies its opponent's strategies already has the upper hand. In life, the man who understands human behavior, power dynamics, and financial systems is already ahead of the one who simply follows the crowd. And if you don't even understand yourself, your limits, your strengths, your true desires, you will never take control of your life. You won't know which relationships serve you, which goals truly matter, or how far you can push yourself before breaking. This is why so many men collapse under pressure. They never train themselves for the fight. So the first step is simple. Educate yourself. Study your own mind. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? Are you a leader or a follower? Do you thrive under pressure or do you break? Learn the rules of the game. Understand attraction, money, power, and influence. Because none of this is taught in school. And without this knowledge, you will always be at a disadvantage. When you understand both yourself and the world you operate in, you will never have to fear failure again. Rule 2. Control your environment or be controlled. Most men go through life without direction. They wake up each day, reacting to whatever happens, letting circumstances dictate their actions. They don't establish the rules. They don't take charge. They simply respond to the world around them. And that's exactly why they struggle. If you're operating under someone else's rules, you're playing their game. And when it's their game, they already have the advantage. Take relationships, for example. The moment you start chasing, you give away your power. She now controls the dynamic, deciding when to respond, when to meet, and when to walk away. Since you're following her lead, you never even see the loss coming until it's too late. Men who naturally attract and keep women interested don't beg for attention or adjust their lives to fit someone else's schedule. Instead, they create a life so compelling, so magnetic, that she wants to be a part of it. She doesn't leave because what she has to lose is greater than what she stands to gain elsewhere. The same principle applies in the workplace. Employees follow instructions, but leaders set the rules. Which one do you think earns more, commands more respect, and has greater freedom? Success is never random. It belongs to those who shape their surroundings to their advantage. Winners design the playing field. Have you ever noticed how the most powerful men control their environment before stepping into any situation? They never negotiate from a position of weakness. They don't put themselves in places where they lack influence. They make sure every interaction happens on their terms, giving them the upper hand before the game even begins. In social circles, the man with the most influence isn't the one constantly trying to impress others. He's the one who sets the tone. He decides the plans, the direction, and the people involved. He doesn't seek approval. Approval seeks him. People gravitate toward him because he controls the energy of the group. If you find yourself constantly reacting, always chasing, always waiting for others to decide, you are not in control. And if you're not in control, someone else is. Think about it. Who texts first? Who calls first? Who plans the dates, makes the first move, or invests more effort? If it's always you, then you're the one doing all the work while the other person holds the power. Ever notice how a woman starts pulling away the moment you give her everything she asks for? It's because she never truly wanted full control. She wanted to be influenced, to be led. When you hand over all the power, the dynamic dies. Women respect men who set the pace. The power of shifting control. In war, the army that controls the battlefield dictates the outcome. That's why great military leaders throughout history never rushed into battle blindly. Instead, they manipulated their enemies into making the first move, forcing them into a disadvantage. The same strategy applies to life. The man who chooses his battles, who decides what's worth his time and what isn't, always has the upper hand. A woman tries to provoke a reaction. Ignore the drama. A boss undervalues your work. Set clear boundaries. A friend disrespects you. Walk away immediately. The moment you make others react to you instead of the other way around, you've already won. Rule 3. Win by moving where they least expect. Most men make the mistake of confronting challenges head-on, attacking problems directly where resistance is strongest. They charge into situations emotionally without strategy and wonder why they keep failing. A woman loses interest and the weak man begs for another chance. A boss refuses to acknowledge his hard work and he complains about being underpaid. A friend betrays him and he argues, trying to salvage the relationship. This is how losers operate. They react in predictable, emotional ways, making it easy for others to control them. But the strongest and most strategic men understand that true power doesn't come from direct confrontation. It comes from moving where no one expects, striking in ways that leave others unprepared. The power of unexpected action. In relationships, when a woman starts to pull away, most men panic. They text more, call more, and chase harder, only to push her away even further. Why? Because their desperation confirms her doubts. But a man who understands power does the opposite. He withdraws. If she stops texting, he stops caring. If she stops chasing, he disappears. And suddenly, she's the one who feels uncertain. She expected him to plead for her attention, but instead, he vanished. That fear, the realization that she never had full control, is what makes her question everything. The workplace advantage. The same principle applies at work. A weak man complains when he's overlooked for a raise. He argues, threatens to quit, and demands recognition. But what happens? He's easily replaced, proving that his complaints held no real power. A strong man, on the other hand, doesn't waste time begging. He prepares in silence, building new opportunities behind the scenes. He strengthens his position, creates leverage, and removes himself from dependence on the job. Then, when the moment is right, he resigns without warning. Now, the company panics. Now, they scramble to replace him. They assumed he would always stay. They assumed they could take him for granted. But when he left on his own terms, he proved his value in a single move. The silent warrior always wins. Most people never expect you to walk away. They assume you'll always be there, always accepting less than you deserve. That's why they treat you as replaceable until you leave. The weak man is loud, emotional, and predictable. His reactions make him easy to manipulate. The strong man is calm, unreadable, and strategic. He doesn't fight where he is weakest. He fights where others least expect. That's why the woman who thought she could do better comes back when you stop chasing. That's why the job that undervalued you panics when you walk away. That's why the friend who betrayed you regrets it when you move on effortlessly. Your silence is more powerful than any argument. The best way to win: make them realize they never had control in the first place. Rule 4. Let others move first, then control the game. In any battle, the side that strikes first exposes itself. The same principle applies to life. Whoever makes the first move reveals their position, their intentions, and their weaknesses. A woman wants you to chase her first. A boss wants you to beg for a raise first. Your enemies want you to react emotionally first, because the moment you do, you give away your power. The strength of being unpredictable. A woman isn't drawn to a man who chases. She's drawn to a man she can't fully figure out. Have you ever noticed how a woman loses interest the moment she knows you're completely invested? The mystery disappears, and with it, so does her attraction. But the man who remains just out of reach, who gives enough to intrigue her, but never too much, keeps her attention. He makes her wonder. This is exactly why women test men. They want to see if you'll crumble under pressure, if you'll become overly emotional, if you'll start chasing. And the moment you do, the dynamic shifts. You've lost power in business and negotiation. This principle applies beyond relationships. It's a fundamental rule in business and leadership. In a job interview, if you're too eager, if you rush to accept an offer, you lose leverage. But if you remain calm, composed, and unreadable, the other side starts over-explaining, trying to convince you. Silence makes people nervous. In negotiations, the person who talks the most is usually at a disadvantage. The one who remains patient, watches, and waits forces the other side to reveal their position first. Silence and control. Who holds more power in an argument? The one speaking endlessly, trying to justify themselves, or the one sitting back, observing and waiting? The answer is always the latter. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The one who can wait the longest always comes out ahead. Mastering emotional control. This is why you should never confess your feelings first. Get emotional first. Show your next move first. The world expects you to react, to get upset, to explain yourself, to beg, to chase, to engage in emotional battles. But the strong man does the opposite. He waits, he watches, he lets others expose their intentions. Think about relationships. Most women don't just leave without reason. Before they do, they start unnecessary fights to test you. They want to see how you'll react. If you start chasing, over-explaining, or begging, you fail the test. Control through detachment. If a woman starts to pull away, you don't argue or chase. You let her go. And when she realizes you don't need her, she's the one who starts chasing you. If someone plots against you, you don't react emotionally. You let them expose themselves, waste their energy, and when the moment is right, you make one decisive move that ends it. Most men fail because they react impulsively. They argue, they over-explain, and they try to force people to respect them. But true respect isn't earned through shouting or demanding. It's earned through composure and control. The power of walking away. Women instinctively understand this. When they lose interest, they don't leave through confrontation. They leave by gradually withdrawing. They text less. They become distant. They pull away quietly. And what do most men do? They panic. They text more, call more, ask, is something wrong? And in doing so, they confirm her loss of attraction. A woman doesn't fall for the man who chases her. She falls for the man she can't control. The man who is so self-assured, so unfazed, that his absence feels more powerful than his presence. This is winning without fighting. Instead of trying to convince her, you let her experience the reality of losing you, and that realization is far more impactful than any argument. Winning in business and negotiation. The same principle applies in business. The best deals don't go to the man who begs for an opportunity. They go to the man who makes others feel like they need him. The most successful businessmen never negotiate from a place of desperation. Instead, they act indifferent, making the other party feel uncertain, which leads to better offers. Look at how powerful nations handle conflicts. They don't always go to war. Instead, they apply pressure through economic strategies, forcing their opponents into submission before a battle even begins. Make others feel your absence. Now, apply this to your own life. If someone disrespects you, do you argue? No, you remove yourself. You take away your energy, your presence, and your attention. That silence will make them feel your power. If a woman disrespects you, do you try to fix things? No, you step back. If she truly values you, she'll realize what she lost. And if she doesn't, then you never needed her in the first place. If a job underpays you, do you demand a raise? No, you become so valuable that other companies want you. And when you leave, your old employer will regret it, but by then, it will be too late. The weak fight, the strong influence. Weak men exhaust themselves arguing, begging, and forcing their way into people's lives. Strong men avoid unnecessary battles, allowing their absence to be their most powerful weapon. When you master this mindset, life becomes effortless. You don't chase, you don't overreact, you don't lose control. Instead, you move with quiet confidence and complete detachment. And because of that, you always win. Rule 6. Act decisively. Eliminate problems instantly. Hesitation is the downfall of weak men. They see the warning signs in a woman, but stay, hoping she'll change. They recognize their boss is exploiting them, but remain silent, fearing confrontation. They feel disrespected by a so-called friend, but make excuses instead of taking action. And then they wonder why their life stays the same. Weak men hesitate because they cling to the false hope that things will improve on their own. But the harsh reality, they never do. A woman who disrespects you once will do it again. A boss who underpays you will never suddenly start offering raises out of generosity. A friend who betrays you once will stab you in the back again when given another chance. The difference between strong and weak men is simple. Weak men tolerate disrespect. Strong men end it immediately. Eliminate toxicity without hesitation. The longer you allow problems to linger, the more they drain your time, energy, and self-respect. Staying in a toxic relationship, hoping things will change, isn't loyalty. It's self-destruction. You're wasting time on someone who will only take you for granted. Remaining at a job that undervalues you, hoping for recognition, isn't strategic. It's foolish. Companies don't reward silent loyalty. They replace you the moment it benefits them. Keeping disloyal friends in your life, believing they deserve another chance, isn't kindness. Its weakness: a snake will always strike again if given the opportunity. Powerful men take immediate action. Strong men don't entertain betrayal. They don't debate whether they should tolerate disrespect. They act without hesitation and cut out toxicity before it has a chance to grow. A woman disrespects you, you walk away immediately. No arguments, no second chances. A boss takes advantage of you. You leave without looking back. And when they offer you more to stay, you remind them they should have valued you earlier. A friend betrays you. You remove them from your life so fast, they don't even get the chance to explain. Because time is your most valuable resource, and once you waste it, you never get it back. Decisive action creates power. History's greatest leaders, warriors, and entrepreneurs didn't waste time overthinking. They moved swiftly, took risks, and never hesitated when action was needed. Alexander the Great didn't spend years debating whether to invade Persia. He took decisive action and conquered it. Steve Jobs didn't waste time questioning whether he should build Apple. He started and changed the world. Fighters who hesitate in the ring get knocked out first. The same applies to life. If you wait too long, you lose. Move first. Win every time. If you see an opportunity, take it immediately. If you sense danger, remove yourself without delay. If you experience betrayal, end it without discussion. Hesitation kills power. The man who acts first always controls the outcome. The faster you move, the stronger you become. Rule 7. Adapt, evolve, and become untouchable. Weak men lose because they are predictable. They follow the same routines, react the same way to every situation, and fall into habits that make them easy to manipulate. A woman knows exactly how he'll respond, so she controls the relationship. His boss is certain he'll never quit, so he remains underpaid. His enemies know he will always explain himself, so they take advantage of his need for validation. When people can predict your moves, they can control you. That's why weak men are easily replaced, ignored, and taken for granted. But strong men, they are unreadable, they are formless. Master the art of adaptability. A powerful man moves like water, always adjusting, always flowing, impossible to trap. If a woman pulls away, he doesn't chase, he disappears. She expects him to beg, but instead, he moves on without hesitation. If an employer refuses to recognize his worth, he doesn't argue. He builds something greater. He creates so much value elsewhere that they regret ever underestimating him. If a friend becomes disloyal, he doesn't seek closure. He simply walks away. And suddenly, those who took him for granted realize they lost someone irreplaceable. The power of mystery predictability breeds boredom. And in relationships, it's the fastest way to lose attraction. Women lose interest in the nice guy because he's too easy to understand. She knows exactly how he thinks, how he reacts, and how far she can push him. There's no challenge, no excitement, no power. But a man who is unpredictable, adaptable, and unreadable keeps her engaged. She can't figure him out, so she stays invested. She fears losing him because she doesn't know what he'll do next. This applies everywhere. A boss can't overlook a man whose next move is uncertain. He respects him instead. An enemy can't manipulate someone who refuses to play by predictable rules. He fears him instead. To be powerful, never let people put you in a box. Never let them think they have you figured out. The moment they believe they know your every move, change the game. The choice is yours. Everything you've just read, these are the rules of power. rules that most men ignore. The weak man hears the truth but does nothing. He stays in toxic relationships, hoping things will change. He remains stuck in a dead-end job, waiting for someone to recognize his worth. He trusts the wrong people, only to be betrayed again. And one day, he wakes up, realizing he's wasted his life. The strong man acts immediately. He stops chasing people who don't respect him. He stops waiting for opportunities and starts creating them. He refuses to live on anyone else's terms. And because of that, he never loses again. So now, you have a decision to make. Will you keep living the same way, hoping things will magically improve? Or will you wake up, apply these rules, and start winning every battle in your life? Because here's the reality. Life isn't going to wait for you. Women won't suddenly start respecting you. The world won't hand you success. The strong take, while the weak wait. Which one are you?